Okay, good evening, everybody. And I know for some of you, it may not be evening, but whatever is the time for you there, welcome. Welcome to this special session on Introduction to Theory U, the future of leadership and organization transformation. So everybody welcome. And this is, my name is Manoj, and I am here along with my colleague Ferdi D'Souza. Ferdi, can you wave your hand? And SK Rao and and also Vivek Chopra, right? And we also have our colleagues from Philippines, Mayan and Wang here. So Ferdi is going to be the lead faculty for today's session. So before I hand over to him, I'll just introduce you a little bit about the session and who we are. Hi, welcome Vinit, good to see you. Okay, so we are a team working in India, UK, Philippines, and Thailand, and we work on organizational transformation and leadership transformation. And we use the principles of Theory U as a foundation for our conversations in leadership transformation and organization transformation both. And we are very, very happy with the kind of results we produced based on that in the last 5-6 years that we've been working. Recently, the OD Network, Global OD Network, awarded Dr. Otto Scharmer, the creator of Theory U, the first ever award called Elevating Humanity. And those of you who are interested to know more about that, you can send me or Vivek a WhatsApp connect, and we will send you more information about the award and the work that Otto Scharmer has been recognized for. As I mentioned, we have been working with this technology for the last 5-6 years in various corporates, as well as for individual leaders and small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, working with educational institutions, social organizations, and it has become a global phenomenon now. More than 2 lakh people have done this course personally, and then they have taken it into their organizations. Organizations like McKinsey and Alibaba and most of the big pharma companies, World Bank. So it's kind of spreading everywhere. It's not restricted to any particular segment. And we have had the privilege of experiencing using this technology in-house, as well as giving it to people in the open workshops. We have done some 19 of such workshops, and almost every month we are now, or month or two, we do another workshop. Next workshop that we have scheduled is in July 24th, 25th, which is going to be a corporate specific batch. And then it would be followed up by a 6-session seminar series. And there will be an open batch, open for everybody in August, which is going to be 7th and 8th of August. And again, that would also be followed by a 6-session seminar series. So at some time, we would talk about that, and also you can be in touch with us to know more about these courses. But right now, for this conversation today, I'm going to hand over to Ferdi to take us through this Introduction to Theory U, the future of leadership and organization transformation. Ferdi is based in UK, and of course, he was involved in creating one of the biggest transformational organizations, personal transformation organizations in India for 15 years. And then last 15 years, he's been in UK and working on organizational transformation, executive coaching, and also supporting us in driving this conversation globally. So Ferdi, thank you very much for being here and taking us through this. Over to you, Ferdi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Manoj. And really thank everybody for being on the call today. I really appreciate your being here. And what I thought I'd like to do is really, I like to find out before, I have an agenda. There's something I want to share with you, a topic I want to share with you. but I want to make sure that what I'm sharing kind of works for you, fits for you. And to help me in that, I'd like you to share with me, why are you here? What are you here for? What would you like to get? What would be the best outcome for you out of this session? And you can either type it out in the chat, and then Manoj or the others will read it and give it back to me. Or even better, if you can just say straight away what you'd like to achieve or what you'd like to get or what will be the best outcome for you out of these 2 hours that we're going to spend together. So can I invite you to participate?
Yeah, those who want to share, unmute yourself and share, please. And then you can, of course, go back on mute. So go ahead.
Anybody?
Vinith, go
No?
ahead. Don't raise your hand, just unmute yourself and share.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So thanks a lot for this session. I got introduced to U theory sometime in 2009, 2010. And the agenda on which I was working at that time was I was running a company called Prerna Center of Learning, where the whole objective or the mission was to develop consciousness-centered leadership that will transform organizations and society. And U theory was at that time seen to be a fairly path-breaking way, and in, you know, if I might say, a partly a left-brained way to approach a right-brained subject like the deeper recesses of the human.
Yes.
And
Yes, well said.
yeah, so I think over a period of time, as I've gone with my life, I've lost a little bit of touch. And I think when this opportunity presented itself, I decided to join here as a refresher and just
Wonderful.
to, you know, yeah, basically sharpen my saw once again on it. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing and thank you for opening the account. It normally takes a courageous person to start the ball rolling. Vinit, thank you. Somebody else, please. What are you here for? What would you like to get? Or what's your interest? Or what are your challenges? Or what are you dealing with? Whatever.
Two people have shared, Ferdi. On the chat, once I say Aparna is asking, how does the theory work in current times?
Very good.
And Sumit says, I am curious to know about U theory and how it may apply in my context as a school educator and as an individual as well.
Wonderful.
Then Udhaya Kumar managed power plants as well as served for TCS, seeing challenges to take forward systems in place instead of doing in old style of working, succeeded. Still
Very
here,
good.
I am sure we'll get more knowledge and practical aspects from you.
Beautiful.
Zankana, understanding the topic, learning something new and see how can I adapt and adopt new practices.
Very good. Very good.
Anisha, I would like to know how theory U stands out in a sea of models, theories, and buzzwords. Practical examples where leaders have achieved their personal transformation goals. And Jyoti says, learn more about theory U and see what aspects are relevant for me and how I can adopt it.
Very good. Very good. So quite a few people are really directly focused on theory U and seeing how it can make an impact in their life. And anybody else, any of you would like to say it on the video?
Ferdi, actually, I am in the path of empowering the youth. So how this theory is going to help the youth also?
Very good question. Yeah, very good question. Great. I hope you'll get some answers to that. Very good. Somebody else?
So I want to add that last time when I was with Manoj and Vivek, I think that was an amazing session, and that's how I have enrolled again for this. So what I realized with Theory U is the journey is more inward rather than outward.
Yes.
So I'm so excited to learn more and, you know, to look inward and how we can work upon them, how we can understand our, you know, sort of, I should say, unrealized potential.
Very good.
And, you know, and then go outward.
Very good. Great, Tapan.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Somebody else? Anybody else?
So may I go next?
Yes, please, Bhaskar.
Yeah, hi. I had the privilege of attending both the workshop in South Africa as well as the Boston one, where master certification happened, and the privilege of meeting Otto Scharmer and his team. When I came back from the workshop, I was so brimming with energy and enthusiasm to implement some of these. And I got a client in a supply chain company, very cooperative and wonderful engagement. It turned out to be very transformative. And some of the questions I see in the chat, I could relate. These were the early questions I had. After trying it out in Indian context, this was a company in Mumbai. They still are in the McDonald's ecosystem. The CEO is still in touch with me. They keep referring to this intervention, which lasted for 1 year from time to time, to say how it really helped the relationship bridge between the customer facing team as well as the internal support teams like HR, finance, legal, IT, and so on. So yeah, wonderful to be here, and I can share some more experiences as we go forward. I want to stay connected, and if there are any other community forums, please do let me know. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Bhaskar. Thank you. And I'm sure your experience will be useful even today. If somebody has a question and you could possibly answer it directly from your experience. So let me actually begin now with what I want to say, right? Oh, Manoj, I need to share the screen.
1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, you joined again, right? 1 second. Okay. Yes, yes.
Right. Oh, but it
Yes,
says
here you
disable.
go.
Okay, share the screen. All right. And where am I? Where am I? I seem to have closed down my thing.
No problem.
Let me open it again because I'm sorry, guys. I had opened it a while ago and now it's closed again. Apologies. So let me just exit full screen and that's it. That's right. Okay. So now here we are. Share screen. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of a shock, okay? Awareness-based collective action, enabling the dawn of a new civilization. So what we're up to, besides conducting these programs and helping companies and whatever else we do, we have an agenda, and our agenda is to enable the dawn of a new civilization. What do I mean by that? Well, the pandemic has had first of all, it's been terrible. It's affected everybody, right? And it's been a huge breakdown, but it's also been an extraordinary opportunity. It's been an opportunity for the whole world because the whole world, everybody in the world from all parts of the world and all parts of society has been focused on one thing, the pandemic and how that has affected us. And what has happened as a function of that is it has thrown up all the things in the world in our current civilization that don't work. Organizations, governments, education, economy, finance, a whole lot of things that don't really work, that we have felt that, well, what can we do about it? We can't do very much about it. This has been around for centuries. Actually, it hasn't been around for centuries, just 2 centuries. And we feel that we're trapped in it and we can't get anywhere. We know that the healthcare system doesn't work. We know that the education system doesn't work. We know that governance and the way governments are operating doesn't work. So we know all these things. And all over the world, we know that. And especially because of the pandemic, this thing has become even more in our face. So can we do anything about it? Well, what's happened is in this pandemic, people have come forward from all over the place. It's been like in Indian society, when somebody dies, all the neighbors come around, they give food, they make the arrangements, somebody does this, somebody does that, everybody does that to help the person who has suffered the loss. So when a situation like that happens, people gather together and have always gathered together. And in this pandemic, what has happened is, because it's been so large scale, if you just look at India alone, so many people have come in to volunteer and support and do something about it. So people are now waking up. They're waking up to.
Ferdi,
Yes?
I couldn't hear your last two words.
Yeah, there's somebody speaking.
No, nobody's speaking.
Yes, I can hear it.
I can't. I can't. Yeah.
Somebody talking in a business context.
Okay. Maybe I'll just mute everybody. Okay. And then you unmute yourself and speak. 1 second. Okay. Yeah.
You're on mute also, Ferdi.
Ferdi, you have to unmute and speak.
Yeah, but I can hear a person speaking in my ear.
I
I don't know. I have a feeling it's like a podcast or something. I wonder whether it's coming from my. Can you guys hear anything? You can't hear anything?
No. It must be something in your own system. Yeah.
Okay, can I just disconnect and come back on?
Yeah.
I apologize, guys. I can't speak it. I'm gonna leave.
We need to switch off something. Check your laptop first. Any other?
Yeah, there must be something working on the laptop.
Multitasking is not only bad for your health, it's also bad for your devices.
But we are forced to do that.
Force is a dangerous word, but yes. Mariam, welcome. Okay. Right.
Good evening.
Good evening. So we have a team attending from Philippines who have been participating in the current workshop, and of course there are some who have been in the earlier workshops. Okay, so we just wait for a couple of seconds for it to log in again. And we invite you to engage fully and ask questions and interact. The more you interact, the more value you create for yourself and for everybody. So we really appreciate that if you do that. Welcome back, Ferdi. Can you hear me now?
I can. It was a podcast playing in my Spotify. I could hear, but you guys couldn't hear.
Yeah.
All about Carlos Joe, what's his name?
Yeah.
That guy from Nissan.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I
Your
apologize.
video is off.
My video is off. All right, here I am coming back again.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I was saying that right now there is something happening around the world, and it's something that's very extraordinary because it's having people get focused on one thing, which is the pandemic. And out of having people focused on one thing, each of the people, each person is starting to take actions that they see will make a difference. That's what's called awareness-based collective action. This is one new part of Theory U, awareness-based collective action, where the action is being taken through awareness, but it's an action that's taken by the collective, by a group. So Theory U is really not based on individuals working on things. It's based on systems and is based on collectives. So, but just to bring it home to you, let's see, you're going to have to enable my sharing, Manoj.
Yep.
Okay, no, still disabled.
Try.
Okay, there you are. And here we are. Okay. So just to bring it back to you, okay, what would it be like for you if you knew that you could be deeply connected to the various stakeholders in your life? Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, you're connected to your business associates, your boss, your colleagues, your customers, your clients, but also there are other stakeholders in your life who are more personal, your husband, your wife, your children, your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law. What if you knew you could be deeply connected to the various stakeholders in your life? And when you have a look at collaborating with people, working with others, you can see that that is possible for you. It is possible for you to collaborate with others. Why? Because you have the knowledge, the skills, and the competencies to do this. What if you, when you looked, you saw that this was possible for you? What if you are inspired by who you are and what your life is about? Really, deeply, you're inspired by who you are and what your life is about. And you have clarity of mind about your vision and your intention. And when you look ahead, you can see that there is a pathway for you to move forward and fulfill this. What if all these things were possible, right? What if when you looked at the end of these 2 hours together, when you looked, you knew that you could be deeply connected to the various stakeholders in your life? When you looked at collaboration, you can see that it is possible for you. You have the knowledge, skills, and competencies to do this. You are inspired by who you are and what your life is about. You have clarity of mind about your vision and intention. And there is a pathway for you to move forward and fulfill on this. What if that happened to you at the end of these 2 hours? And what if you also saw that this was possible for all human beings? Would you be interested? Would it be something that would call to you? Would it be something that you could engage with? So now I'd like some little bit of dialogue on this. So what do you think? Would you be interested in it? Would you be interested in deeply connecting to the various stakeholders in your life, being able to collaborate, co-create, being able to be clear about your vision, mission, and intention, personal and your organization, and you actually saw a pathway? Are you interested in it? So what do you think?
Of course.
Of course, is that who said that? Sorry.
It's me, Melba. Ferdi.
Melba. Yeah.
Melba Margins, and sorry, I was I couldn't show my face. I'm wrapped up. It's lower than 10 degrees here in Melbourne at the moment.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Very
Yeah,
cold.
you would be, wouldn't you? You
Yeah,
would be.
of course. I mean, and it's happened to me.
Yeah.
I have seen so much more possibilities for me, for what I can do, not as an individual only, but also with others.
Mhm.
I've become more involved in a political party here in Australia, and worked on policy issues that gave me, and this has happened all throughout the pandemic, the whole year.
Very good.
Then I became more involved in many community organizations within the Filipino Australian community in general, and we're heading towards some really good projects at the moment. It's terrific, you know, for me as an individual who always wants to make a difference, to be able to continue progressing even during the pandemic, having seen all these possibilities that you have put forward, you know, in your on your slide. So
Wonderful.
yes, it's really wonderful. The opportunities, I guess, because I'm in Australia and in Melbourne in particular. The thing is, the government because they're trying
No,
hard to catch up.
Melba,
you know.
Melba,
Yeah.
if you'll excuse me, I really want to get other people's views
Yes.
on this
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
I got
Sorry.
it completely from you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
have you done theory U, or is this your own, working with people that has come up here?
What did you say? Have
Have you done anything on theory U?
No.
No. Yeah, so
I'm
that's
just
great.
I'm just invited by Mayan, and this is my
That's
second
wonderful.
time.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
I enjoyed the first time that I attended, and I'm enjoying this as well. Yeah,
That's
I'm just
wonderful.
saying, when governments, if I can just say, because it's happening in Australia, when governments are trying to catch up, what they try to do is they pour in a lot of investments in through programs to help people during the pandemic, and somehow people are more open to actually grab those opportunities.
Yeah, the time
Yeah.
is right, right?
Yes, the time is right. That's what, everything's
very good,
falling into
very
place.
good. Let me hear for some other people. Okay, Melba, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Somebody else. Like the question I was asking is, what if you could have that, right? Would you be interested? And I think the obvious answer is yes, right? Although no one's saying very much, or maybe I'm missing something. So let's
Now, some
assume.
people have responded on the chat, Ferdi.
Oh, right.
So a couple of people have responded on the chat.
That's very good, very good. So now why did I bring this up? Because all this is possible when you engage with Theory U. Theory U allows you, gives you access to all these things. And I want to, once again now, where am I? PowerPoint, right. So let me see. So now, if you're interested in connecting with people in your life, get really connected to people in your life, okay? I'm going to take you through some aspects of Theory U, just a small, what do you call it? Like a hologram, a small hologram of it, so you get some sense of what Theory U is. So I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to invite you to engage with me on this conversation on levels of listening. So if we look at the default mode of listening, when we are listening, what is our default mode, okay? So what we're doing is we are listening from habits or downloading. That's what we're doing. Listening for habits of downloading. And what happens is we are reconfirming old opinions and judgments. We call that level of listening, which is the default level of listening, which is what everybody does by default. You don't have to do anything to listen this way. This is, you actually start to listen from the past. You listen from your opinions and judgments of people, of the situation, of the thing, of the world. If you look at things that you are challenged by right now, you'll see there's a lot of downloading happening. So that's listening from downloading. And if you look at the image, there's you in the center. So I want you to imagine, right, that you're in a circular room with windows all around the room. You're in the middle. And those windows have got screens. They're glass windows. You could look outside, but they're all screened. So there are screens, and you got a projector in the center. And what that projector is doing is projecting images, memories, judgments, opinions, projecting all that. So you're surrounded by your own opinions, judgments, and assessments, and everything you see around you is reconfirming these opinions and judgments. Can you recognize yourself there? Can you recognize that that's what's happening? Anybody? Or you don't think that's happening? What do you think? So I can't see everybody. I'm going to just stop the sharing for a bit. So can you see that's happening? Anybody? Can you see something there? Can you see that it is happening all the time? That's right, Nelson, is happening all the time. So this is like what you call the Google bubble. Heard of the Google bubble or Netflix bubble? You know, I remember when I first got Netflix, the first movie I saw was a particular kind of movie, something to do with supernatural beings and stuff like that. And every time I searched for a movie, all I got was the same kind of movie. I thought, what's wrong? And Netflix got only these kinds of movies. It really took a lot of effort for me to find another kind of movie. And that's what happens to you on Google, right? There's this algorithm that keeps giving you something similar to what you searched for the first time, until after a while you get wrapped up in what you already know. And as you think that whatever you know is the truth, is reality. So that's downloading. Now tell me something. How much of our life you think is trapped inside of downloading? You can say something in the chat or just say it up. What percent? 5%, 10%, 90%? What percent of our life is wrapped up in downloading? 85%, 90%, 70%. Yeah, most of our life, right? Now tell me something. What kind of impact does that have on our relationships with our stakeholders? What kind of impact does that have on our relationship with our loved ones, on how we relate to them? We get stuck in the past, don't we? We get stuck in the same old, same old, same old.
Some people have written, it is limiting us, huge impact. We toe
We
the
took-
line. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So that's what
Takes
happens.
away
So that's
meaning.
so now, if we want to have a deep and profound relationship with our clients, with a deep and profound relationship with our boss, with our colleagues, with our subordinates, with our suppliers, with our wife, husband, daughter, you think this would be getting in the way? Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? So one of the things we need to do is to be able to get out of this box, get out of this room, get out of this circular room we are in, you know, where all the projections of the past and our judgments and our opinions and assessments are there. And they're stuck right in the middle. And we think it's real. See, that's the worst thing. We think it's real. We think that is what is happening in the world. You don't have to look too far for that. You know, everything is binary now. Either you're for or against. Either you're for the government or you're against the government. Are you for Black Lives Matter or you're against it? It's all becomes binary. And people take sides, people take positions, and they don't listen to other people. They get stuck with it. So what's the way out of that, right? So now let's have some talking as well, not just typing, because I find it difficult to just read all the messages. Somebody tell me, what's the way out of that? Is there a way out?
Yeah, you should be open for learning new things or understanding new things.
Yeah, so the way out of that is to be open, as you said, for learning new things. So the way out of that, if you look at that room, that circular room, and you're in the middle, right, with all the screens drawn and the projectors projecting stuff, what would be the way out of that in that analogy?
Ferdi, I'm reading out a couple of comments. So Melba has written, reflect more. She's put a question mark there. Anisha says, listening to opposing points of view, however uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Moving out of the space would be an option.
Yeah, let me suggest something to you. You go to the window and you draw the curtain and you look outside. That is similar to what you're saying, by the way, on the chat, but I'm giving you the analogy. You're at the circular room, you wake up and say, hey, I think I'm in reality, but I'm in not. This is all the past being projected on the screens. So you walk to the window, you draw the curtain, and you look outside, right? So now that's an open mind. It's called listening with an open mind. Let some light in, as somebody said. Yeah. Break out of those boundaries and conditioning. So the first step is, in order to break out of those conditioning and boundaries, what's the first step?
I think for the first step, this is Amit. The first step
Mhm.
is we need to acknowledge that we are in that situation.
Very
And
good.
then comes the unlearning. So first we need to acknowledge that there is a problem.
Before we acknowledge, that's very good, Amit. And however, there's something that comes before we can acknowledge. What do we have to do?
We need to be willing to do that.
True. You need to be aware that that's what's happening. That's the first thing. The first thing is you need to be aware, hey, I'm stuck in a bubble. I thought I was dealing with reality. I'm not. That's the first thing that needs to happen. Because if we are not aware that that's where we are never going to do anything to get out of it. Correct? So, as Young says, how to become aware, right? That's a good question. How to become aware. So, first of all, just consider, even if you're not aware, that you are stuck. How about that? That you do not deal with reality. You deal with your opinions, judgments, evaluations, considerations, and all of this is based on the past. Can you consider that? Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is, right? It is possible that you're stuck in the past, and then the next step is harder. The next step is more difficult. So now let me share the screen again. So now you can see on this, you go to the window and watch what is going on outside. What are you looking for when you look out of the window? Oh, sorry, what happened here? You're looking for disconfirming data. In the first case, your view is all about confirming what you already know, your opinions, judgments, and evaluations. Developing an open mind is to develop the skills and competencies to be able to recognize that you are in downloading, what we call downloading, you're listening from habits, and to be able to set it aside, park the car, so to speak, get out of the car, or to get to the window and draw the curtain and look outside. What do you look for when you look outside? You look for data that disconfirms what you already know. Now that's very difficult to do because most of us are not listening for that, are we? Most of us are not listening for data that disconfirms what we already know. What are we listening for? We're listening for confirming what we already know. I don't know, my computer seems to be misbehaving itself. Right, there we are. So first thing is to develop the skill of looking for disconfirming data. What will you have to do if you want to look for skills of if you want to look for disconfirming data? What will you have to do? Shout it out. What will you have to do? It's okay, you know the
Look for a
answer.
change.
Say
Look
that
for a
again.
change.
Look for a change. Okay, look for a change. What else? What will you have to do? Let's hear some more.
Eat with people with opposite views.
Yeah, listen to people with opposite views. Actually listen, be able to tolerate people with opposite views. What will help you to do all that? Because listening to people with opposite view, I don't know about you, but I find it very difficult because I don't agree with them. It's nonsense. What they're talking is rubbish. It is not facts. What will help me and you to be able to listen to people, to views that are not palatable to us, or to what people are saying that's not
Sometimes
palatable?
that also broadens our views. Maybe somewhere we are losing out something because of our because we are already confirmed with some information. So when we
That's
listen
right.
to others, that kind of broadens our views. And if there are any gaps, you can even bridge the gap while thinking. So you can join dots while doing so.
Very well said. Very well said, Dr. Sagarika. The thing is, what will help us to do that?
A
Because
change in
that's true.
ourselves.
That's what we should do. But what will help us to do that?
A change in ourselves, our outlook.
Acceptance.
Well,
We need to
okay,
accept people.
let me suggest something. Curiosity.
Curiosity.
If you became curious, okay, I don't agree with that point of view. I think, in fact, I think it's a load of rubbish, but I won't tell you that. I am curious. Why do you have that opinion? What makes you hold on to that opinion? What do you, and not because I think you're wrong, I'm curious. Not that I want to prove that you're wrong, but I'm curious. Why does my wife have a point of view that's different from mine? Oh, because she's a woman, she doesn't understand. No, let me find out. Let me be curious. Let me find out. That's called an open mind. You see here, open mind. And what it does is it gives you an opportunity to look for disconfirming data. Look for things that you haven't been looking for. Let's take some of the challenges you are confronted with at the moment. Can somebody be brave enough to tell us a challenge you're confronted with at the moment?
Yeah, Nelson here. I'd like to speak on it right now. Okay,
Yeah, Nelson,
so
go for it.
the first point I would mention is that right now, because we are unable to meet people in person, so that's a challenge. We are all away from our loved and dear ones. So that's a very big challenge.
Well, I was talking about something else, Nelson. I was talking about in your listening to people, in your being able to hear an opinion that's different from yours. What are you challenged by? Do you have do you have somebody who has an opinion different from you? And when you're listening to them, what are you challenged by?
Our mindset, the existing mindset.
Well, give me an example. Give me a concrete example. Who are you having difficulty listening to?
So like say, suppose if our subordinates in the office, if they have a viewpoint and normally you're not in sync with it, you just don't want to listen to it further because you always have that, okay, you've reached this particular position of leadership, maybe because you've seen it, done it, been there. So
So
you are not open
have you
to.
got a person like that in your life right now that you're having a little difficulty listening to?
Yeah, there are people whom you can't just reach through. You just can't reach through. Sometimes it's even with our own children at home, they can't reach through on
take one because I want to work with you. Take anyone.
So let's take the office example. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Who is this? No, you don't need the name, but just give me the designation or something. Is it your colleague? Is it a junior?
Yeah, it's a junior. Yeah.
It's a junior, a specific person. Okay, not just any junior, this particular person, right?
Yeah.
Call him Ram, whatever you want to call him, right? What is it you are not able to listen to from that person?
Yeah, because according to me, then what happens is that what I feel, okay, because the person
No,
has.
sorry, you're giving me an explanation why you can't listen. I'm saying, what is it you can't listen to?
Light racing, ignore my session on that.
Jagdish, sorry. Let me get back to Dr. Sagarita, okay?
Yeah, go ahead. He was.
Dr. Sagarita?
Yeah, it's the ways of working, the ways of presenting oneself,
So give me a specific example of what you're talking about.
Like for example, okay, I'm a lead learning in an educational organization. So what happens with the person whom I would like to convey that now things have changed. We've come on the online mode, and when we come to the online mode, we need to be more empathetic towards children because children are so used to moving out and going out in the open and playing, and here we are just engaging them 2 hours completely in this. But then the person just doesn't understand if the person
Yeah,
wants.
very good. Now, perfect. I'm going to work with you. This is a perfect example, okay? Let's give him a name. John, okay? Name is John. Is it a guy or a gal?
Girl, yeah. Lady.
Girl, okay? Jane, okay? So Jane. So what is your downloading about Jane? Your old opinions and judgments about her. What is your downloading about Jane? She is stubborn, old-fashioned, stuck in her ways, won't listen, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you relate to her as somebody who's old-fashioned, stubborn, stuck in her ways, won't listen, you're unlikely to feel very close to her, right? Right. So now,
Already drawn the
let's,
barrier.
yeah, you already drawn the path. So now let's actually apply curiosity. How could you apply curiosity to her position? If you were curious about something with regard to her, about that position, what would you say to her?
Yeah. So I would like to know, why wouldn't you want to listen to what I have to say? What is stopping you from, what is your opinion? Share your opinion.
Right. So that would be easier for her to do than for her to tell you why she won't listen to you.
Right.
Right. So you say, share your opinion. Now, when she shares her opinion, what will immediately come up for you? All the reasons why she's wrong. Right. So for you to listen to what she's saying, what will you have to do?
Get out
You'll
of
have to get
the center. Yeah.
get past those barriers, right? And be curious about why would she. So let's be curious without her being here. Okay, let's look from a curiosity point of view. Why do you think she has that opinion?
Yeah, she has the opinion because otherwise she's going to waste a lot of time. She
Okay,
won't complete the syllabus.
right.
And if she doesn't complete the syllabus, then that's going to be an issue.
So
And then
let's stop there. Let's stop there for a moment because you can go further, but let's stop there for a moment. Now, don't you think those are valid points?
Yeah.
From her perspective, those are valid points.
Right.
Now, if you were going to support her without invalidating the valid point she's just saying, how would you approach it? Look down to the next level. Okay, there's open mind. Down below that is what?
Open heart.
Open heart. You need to open your heart to her, which is get to know what is the human being on there and what is she feeling about it. Why does she see it? Now, you don't see it that way and it doesn't affect you that way, but it does affect her that way. So that is seeing through the eyes of the other person. You need to be able to see through the eyes of that other person. And then if you look down below, there's what? Open
will.
Open will.
Yeah.
Like you're willing. That is, you start seeing her in the future. From the past, she's like that. From the past, this is the way she is. But if you look at her from her future, then you start to see that she could be different. She could listen differently. And when you can do that, I'm not saying you can, I'm not saying it's easy, but when you can do that, then you can have a conversation that pierces through her barriers and gets through to her so that she can hear what you're saying. But it requires you letting go of your projection, opening your mind to the possibility that the things she's saying are valid, and there are loads of people who feel that way, and they would get in her way of her finishing her syllabus and everything else. And you understand how difficult that is for her, and you kind of engage with her, and then you look to see, but even though right now she's stuck in this place, it is possible that she could see it another way. And if she did, what would happen to her? What will happen to her the children she's teaching? What will happen to her life? What will happen to how she is dealing with her life itself?
Yeah, there would be a change, certainly.
Can you see that that's possible?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, and you may not be able to do it straight away, but if you worked on it, in our courses, we do a lot of work on this, on these levels, and having people move from one level to the next, to open their mind, to open their heart, start to see things. And it's not through effort. It really is like a cascade. It flows. Once you see how you are stuck in your own judgments and opinions, and you're willing to let go of that, then the open mind comes in, then the open heart comes in. It kind of cascades one into the other. But one needs to be a big person to do this. A big person, like, recognize that maybe you have something to do with why you're stuck with this person. Obviously, she has something to do with it too, maybe a much bigger part than you have, but definitely you have a little bit of a key. You could turn the lock somehow or the other. That making sense?
Yeah, it's making sense.
Great. Hopefully that you'll have a breakthrough with this, Jane. Maybe, who knows, right?
Yeah,
Can't guarantee anything, but definitely it's possible. But I really appreciate your willingness to engage with me on this, because this is how you see things. Just typing something on the chat, there's not much interaction that can happen. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Very good. Somebody else? And either you can ask a question or something you want to say.
Does it make you weak by having always open mind, open heart, and open will? Whether you're seen as a weak person, yeah.
Yeah, let's examine that, okay? Let's be curious about that. So does it? Mr. Bhatt, right?
Being curious doesn't make you doesn't feel that way, no.
No, it doesn't feel for you, Sagarika. But the first gentleman asked the question. I think it was SS Bhatt, right? Yeah. So I'm asking you, does it? Yeah, the downloading is, it'll make us feel weird. But if we examine it, we draw the curtain and look outside, does it? Does it really make us weak?
No.
No, right? So you see that
Sir,
downloading.
can I ask something?
Yeah, one moment. That downloading was getting in the way of you even examining this idea that you could be curious. Mr. SS, great. Who's the next person?
Sir,
Somebody
this is
said something.
This is Sulekha. Can I ask
Yes,
something?
Sulekha. Yes, please.
And then Vinith had raised
Yeah.
hand in the room.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sulekha.
Actually, with the context of what Dr. Sagarika said, say for example, when you said the next level is asking the person, what is your opinion in this matter, and being curious to know what is their opinion. But there have been times which I experienced that some people are don't want to explain. They feel difficulty in articulating maybe.
Yeah.
And they simply outrightly say that I can't explain.
Right.
This is what it is and I can't explain. That time it gets a bit difficult for us to
So which
know the
one
person a
of
bit
these
deeper.
four can you bring to bear? See, let me tell you the tools, okay? Open mind, the tools for open mind is curiosity. The tool for open heart is being connected, somehow or the other, to open your heart and get connected.
Compassion.
And the tool, sorry?
Compassion.
Being compassionate.
Empathy and compassion.
And the tools for open will is being courageous. I don't know, what am I doing here? Sorry, guys. Open will is being courageous. So there are enemies. The enemy to opening your mind is your judgments. A big enemy for an open mind is all our judgments and assessments. The enemy of the open heart is we are cynical. We're distrustful of people. And the enemy to open will is fear. We are afraid. The future frightens us. That people may be different frightens us. So in order to get past, to open your mind, you got to get past the fear. I mean, the enemy called judgment. In order to open your heart, you have to get past the enemy of mistrust. And to open your will, you got to get past the enemy of fear. And it allows you to develop these criteria, these skills, if you actually pay attention to it and you start working on it, and you are not worried about doing it right the first time, because you're not going to do it right the first time, but you experiment and you experiment and you experiment and you experiment and you learn how to do that. So coming back to your question, who was it who asked the question just now? I'm sorry, Sulekha, right?
Sulekha.
Yeah, Sulekha. So now, if you look at these four things, right? What do you think you could use with a person who is not able to articulate themselves?
I think it needs empathy. That,
make it safe for them.
And
Very good.
I think that is the only answer there.
Very good. And you can do that, by the way. Now, I'm not saying you'll do it straight away, but you can learn how to do that over time. with this person, and because they need to trust you. You need to gain their trust, and as you gain their trust, they will open up. They will tell you about that. But if you don't, and you give up in the middle and say there's no use, it's never going to work, then that's it. It's the end of the game. See, like, I'm not giving you ready-made answers, okay? There are no answers here. There are pathways. There are ways. There are kind of places to explore. So what I'm talking about is what you could explore. You could
Yes,
explore.
completely agree with you.
Yeah, very good, very good. Great. Thank you so much.
So,
Somebody else?
Freddie, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, please.
So in corporate world, we see two things dominating. One is playing politics, and one is creating perceptions about people. So, I mean, how do you go about applying it to these two things?
Very good, Zankana. So I'm going to ask you to do that, okay? So what you just said, was that factual or
Yeah.
was it downloading?
No, it's factual.
Okay,
because
so you
experience
see, you think it's factual. I don't think so. I don't have that experience. Would you be willing to listen to that? I don't have that experience.
Yes.
And that there may be other people who work in the same company you work in who don't have that experience. That there are definitely a lot of people who work in your company who have that experience. They are the ones you listen to. And then there are ones who don't have that experience and you don't listen to them. Would you agree?
Yeah, there will be two sides of a coin. Yeah.
Yeah, there will be. And so if you're talking, if it is true, if it's correct, it's absolutely the truth that people are like that, then there's nothing you can do about it, can you? Because if they are like that, they're not going to listen to you, are they?
Yeah.
But what if that was not the truth? That was your downloading. That if you put your downloading aside and you opened your mind to the person, to something around you, you might see that that's not quite the case. You might start noticing disconfirming data.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, it seems like I'm offering you easy solutions. I'm not. These are not easy solutions. These are just, once again, different ways of exploring, different ways of looking through. But it really is, in my experience, Ankana, and I've done a lot of work in companies, a lot of work with people in companies. It's not always like that. It's like that because people get trapped in a situation. They get trapped in thinking that way. They get trapped in that view. And then what they have are people who are for them and people who are against them. And if there are people who are against them, then they have to defend themselves. And people who are for them, and they bring them all to their side and agree with me. You know, that leads to getting stuck. Right?
Yeah.
Great, Zankana. Thank you very much. Somebody else?
Yeah, hi, this is Vineet.
Hi, Vineet.
So I'm actually facing a very clear dilemma, and I'm very happy to work through this on that.
Fabulous.
You know, we have friends from our college days, etc. The current political situation in our country has completely polarized and divided us.
Very true.
Okay. And so there are people who would love to see this government fall and be banished forever. And there are people who can't think beyond the goodness of this government.
True.
And
it's absurd, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well,
I don't mean it's absurd that they can't think beyond this government, but it's absurd that we're so stuck.
Yeah. So what happens is that we obviously have these WhatsApp groups, etc., and people are having these conversations with each other. And this polarization is actually taking away lifelong friendships.
Yeah.
Because either you want to avoid that topic. So I definitely am happy to work through this reality. because at least I'm at a point where I don't really want to have anything to do with somebody who supports the current government. Such is I've become so resistant and so strong because of the strokes that I am receiving. So I'm happy to get some work done on this.
Okay, you're just like me, because I feel the same way about the current government. Okay, so now I'm going to suggest something to you, which will be sacrilegious given our perspective, right? Modi is not all bad, and the government is not all bad.
Yeah.
And we have been stuck in our opinion and judgment about it. And a lot of things they do enough aggravate things, right? It just aggravates things, makes it worse for us. But if we were to actually examine and be curious about, are there anything they're doing that is actually working? Or is it all not working? Right? I live in the UK, and I'm pretty damn sure that everything Boris Johnson does doesn't work. But that's not true. I mean, I can start to see the vaccination thing is working. The other thing is not working. So we start to put aside downloading and really open our mind and notice disconfirming data that disconfirms our perspective and point of view. And not that there are two sides to an equation always.
Of
But we're
course.
always seeing only one side and we're not seeing the other side.
But can I just make this a little complex? Because if it was as simple as that, it would have worked out.
Please.
So what I actually have ended up doing on more than one occasion is to write 3 to 5 things that I believe that the government has done well.
Mm-hmm.
And I have gone and challenged these bhakts, my friends, saying, just the way I have written 3 to 5 things that the government has done well, would you kindly write 3 to 5 things which this government has screwed up on?
Yes.
I don't receive that as an answer, which is where my problem happens.
I got it. The thing is, you got to open your heart now. Okay, and it's difficult to open your heart to people you don't like at all. And especially people who are your friends and you thought they were great people. Now suddenly they've turned out to be rubbish people, right? But you have to open your heart. That is to have empathy, see through the eyes of another. You know, the people who see the government as not able to do anything wrong, if we could see through their eyes, why do they see that? We're never going to get unstuck from this binary position until we can see the other person's point of view. We can't. We have to be, and it'll have to start with us because they can't. As you said, Vineet, they can't see what it is they're doing that doesn't work. But we can. So since we've got some power in the area of being able to see things, I think we've got to be clear. I must say this, it's very important for us to not go down the route that we are being driven of this binary thing where you're for us or against us. It just is rubbish. It just stops us from seeing any reality. Both sides don't see any reality. You don't see any reality. I don't see any reality. And the opposite side doesn't see any reality too. We need to stop it. And for that, we need to develop an open mind and an open heart, and then start to look at the future, an open will, connect with an emerging future possibility in our real self. I know I'm not giving you an answer, but I can only
that's fine. I'm willing to
encourage you. Yeah, great, very good. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up.
I just have one suggestion here. So if it is the WhatsApp group, if it's a WhatsApp group, and especially it's your close friends and all of that, then certain topics like politics, religion should be kept out of that. That way, nobody is going to have any conflicts. Of course, it's difficult for people not to share.
We've done that, to be honest. But the problem is that it's an uncomfortably bought silence.
It doesn't deal with the real issue. It just sweeps it under the carpet. So now I want to talk about, hold on a minute. Nelson, what you're saying is true, but let's look at pretending that there is no elephant in the room doesn't make the elephant disappear. If there is an
Right, but
elephant
at
in the
least,
room, there's an elephant in the room. We
no,
need
but
to
at least
acknowledge
you will
that.
not spoil relationships, right? You will
No,
not
they're
spoil
already ruined.
relationships if you're not discussing,
They're
if you're not
already
discussing
ruined.
those topics which are divided.
True, true. But it might be
Yeah.
better to be able to resolve it, right?
I don't think there is any resolution on, and especially at these mass topics, because especially it's
Now,
a
Dr.
huge
Nelson,
country.
what
Yes,
you just said, was that
yes.
factual or was that a downloading?
I believe it's a downloading from whatever
Right.
we are exposed to, what
Right,
we are exposed to.
right. But it's difficult
Yes.
to ignore it. I got that. I'm wondering, Manoj,
Yeah,
I need to leave the room for a few
yeah,
minutes. Can you
yeah.
just kind of take a little bit of sharing here?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
You can stop the screen sharing. Okay, let me just see. Okay, so let's hear from people what you're getting in this conversation, and if any questions you have or any insights you're getting.
So Manoj,
Yeah.
another example that I would like to share. So I I'm into quality, and it is like, if you look at any of the other operations team or sales team, there's always a conflict in terms of what we are certain steps to be done. They think that it hinders their performance.
Yeah.
So that is an age-old conflict kind of a situation that we always see, irrespective of whichever company it is or industry it is. So even when we try and apply this particular concept, like is it like a reality or it's a downloading? So even when you want to look at the reality, you go back and try and find out, be a little more curious as to why they're doing it, and you realize that sometimes it is the shortcuts which really help them get that particular sale, which may be not in line with the compliance of the organization. Now, in such a scenario, irrespective of however you try to explain them, things will take certain time, and time may not be the luxury that a corporate, employee kind of has for various reasons. So, I mean, when I'm looking at the outcome of it, the outcome remains the same. It is slow, and either you get into conflicting situation, or you
So
escalate.
what's your question?
So my question is, how do I kind of link it to the outcome, an outcome where so I may orient myself in understanding and being curious, but when it comes to results, how does this impact on the results? How do I kind of
Can I
gel with the
intervene,
result?
Manoj?
Yeah, sure for me.
One of the big misunderstandings is that corporate life is all about results. And by results, you mean money, you mean numbers, you mean dollars or rupees or whatever. And we have sold our soul to the altar of the almighty dollar. Now, the truth is, especially because of the pandemic, especially because of what is happening right now, people are waking up to that is not the answer. That companies, the job of companies is not to make a lot of money for their shareholders. The job of companies is to provide a service to their customers. And the service they provide to their customers is more important than the profits they make. So far, that making profits has been more important than providing a service to the customer. And this, I'm not talking, this is not my socialist view of things. This is the round table of CEOs in the United States. 100 or so senior most CEOs have come to the conclusion. They used to the previous year. Their conclusion was that the most important job of a company was to focus on the shareholders and enriching the shareholders. In June last year, they came up with this, June or July, they came up with this notion that that's not the most important business of most important issue for a company to focus on. The most important issue for a company to focus on was its impact in society, not just its impact, financial impact on the owners of the company. So, Zankana, I know that it'll take time to trickle down from the CEOs down to our level down here, but people are starting to shift how they are thinking and how they are working. See, I want to tell you about one more thing. Manoj, how much time do I have left?
47 minutes.
Oh, okay. So the other thing I want to talk about is silos, egos. So we are operating from it's me versus you, or me versus them. We've created around us boundaries. And whatever is within the boundary is ours, whatever outside the boundary is not ours. Have you heard of the term Vasudevaya Kutumbakam? The world is one big family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is starting, that notion is, see, we cannot solve the problem of COVID. We cannot solve the problem of COVID without dealing with it as one world. We're all too closely connected together. You get all the vaccines and don't give anybody the vaccines, somebody will get the illness and bring it back to your country. That's what will happen. So the solution to the problem has to be with us all working together. If we don't all work together, we will not be able to solve the problem. So I know that you're confronted with something in the middle management level that you are in. You are like the jam in the sandwich, right? Press from the top and press from the bottom, and you're the jam in between. But there's good news. The world's changing. That's why I said we want to work on creating a new civilization, and that civilization is coming. It is a more equitable society where things that are important to us are different than just making enough money so we can pay the mortgage and pay our bills and die without having lived a life. All that's changing. Zankana, one thing, okay? You know, we are now using Zoom, right?
Yeah.
How much is it costing us to use it? Nothing, almost nothing. Now, some years ago, I live in the UK, and you know, some years ago, we had to pay through our nose to make a telephone call. Now it's all WhatsApp, it's free. What suddenly happened? The world around us has changed, but we are not aware of it. We're still stuck in the old world. That's the old downloading. I remember during the elections over here, the last election, not this 19, but the one before that, the prime minister was this lady, what's her name? So I'm talking about the UK. So she was having a discussion about not cutting and giving more funds to social organizations or to hospitals or this or that. And she said, we don't have a magic money tree which we can shake, and if we shake, all the money will fall down. But what happened 2 years ago? Suddenly they found a magic money tree. And they've been giving loads of money all over the place, and nobody's talking about our children will have to bear that, because it's not true. It's money that is created by the government itself. The government itself manufactures the money. So there is, the world is changing. That's why I gave you that first slide. The world is changing. A new civilization is arising. but I don't want to work on the world just now. I just want to work on you and me and how we can make things happen. See, there was another thing I wanted to go through with you. Zankana, is it all right if I move forward a bit?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah, I know we'll never get an answer to that, but hang on there for a minute. The thing I wanted to move forward was the how do we deal with, see, if you're in companies, right? You work in companies, you're attending loads and loads of meetings, right? Loads and loads of meetings. That's what we're doing all the time. We're meeting all the time. So let me show you another slide. So now look at this slide. Can you see this slide? So there are 4 levels of fields of conversation. So when you're having a meeting, one field is where everybody's talking nice. People are speaking what others want to hear. Polite routines, empty phrases. They're committed to conforming, don't rock the boat. And nobody says what they think. How many of you can recognize that field in and around you? A lot, right? And then there's another field where people are talking tough, speaking from what they think. There's lots of divergent views, and people are their point of view. I am my point of view, and it leads to lots of confronting and people saying what they think. That's what happens. That's the debate. That's what happens in Parliament, but also happens in our houses. It also happens in a lot of places. Even downloading happens in our houses, where we just keep quiet because of dad and don't say anything. He tells us what to do, all that kind of thing. Now, neither of these, level 1 or level 2 field of conversation, is very attractive. You don't like to be in it because in one, you can't say very much, and the other one, you say a lot, but no one listens to you. So what is the field that will make a huge difference? Is this field of dialogue. Dialogue is where you have a point of view, you're not afraid to express it, but it's different from debate. Well, how is it different from debate? You actually do listen. You actually listen to the other person's point of view. So Vineet, you were saying, right, with the people, you make a list of 5 things that work, and then you ask them to make a list of 5 things that don't work. Instead of doing that, you could be asking them, why do you have that perspective? Why do you think he's such a great guy? Why do you think that's such a great political party? Now you have your own point of view. You don't give up your point of view, but you are listening to their point of view. You're listening to what they're saying. You're listening to what's valid about what they're saying, right? And so you stop defending and you start inquiring into viewpoints. You start connecting. And what it leads to is reflecting on your part and hopefully reflecting on their part as well. And right now it looks like they will never reflect, but maybe if we started reflecting, they might start reflecting too. So that's the reflective inquiry. And
Can
then,
I share?
yeah, give me one moment. Huh? And then I want to go to the 4th level, which is collective creativity. What happens here is somebody says something, because this is after level 3, because you have to have dialogue, but then you can go to collective creativity. What happens here is somebody says something. The other person says, oh, if you added this bit to what you said, it will make it better. And the person, yeah, that'll be great. Then the 3rd person adds something else, and the 4th person adds something else. And soon the idea doesn't belong to anybody, but it belongs to everybody. That is called co-creating. You're shifting, you're creating a future that wasn't going to happen. So if we could, that's why I remember I made the 4 things I said. You can see a way forward to creating collaboration. You know that you can collaborate. You may need to learn some skills, but strongly feel that you can collaborate. If you can actually develop leadership in dialogue, develop leadership in collective creativity, you can do a whole lot of collaboration. So those are the two things I wanted to share with you from the course. And also, yeah, somebody wanted to say something and I said later. Who was that? Suleka, was it?
Yes,
Yes, Suleka.
yeah, actually, when you were talking about dialogue that time,
Right.
I just happened to recall that when Prime Minister Modi ji, he gave away the vaccines to other nations. At that time, a lot of people and a lot of social media talks were there that why did this happen? This should not have happened. There is not sufficient for our own nation. But then later, when people started, government started talking about it, and they started talking about a term called as soft diplomacy, and talking about world as one family, and we should be helping our neighbors too, even if we have, say, 10 things for us, at least we can part with one thing for the neighbor. So that soft diplomacy, I think we didn't even know this term. But when the government started talking about it, people started becoming aware, and a kind of acceptance started dawning upon us. So that was something I wanted to share. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, very good. That is a way of actually listening to someone else's perspective and taking it on for yourself as well. Good.
Ferdi,
Yeah.
this is VSR.
Yeah, VSR.
When you say collective creativity, Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats,
right,
where it will encourage no arguments, but thinking alike at particular moment of time. Do you think that really complement here?
Yeah, it does. It does. But it's a little bit more profound and deeper than just that. It is really having a kind of, we become human beings who can have a dialogue. We don't have to have a debate. We don't have to talk tough. We can actually listen to what other people are saying without giving up our own perspective and share it. And share their perspective, share our perspective. And if both parties are listening, something new will show up and collective creativity can show up.
Right.
Is that making sense?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Okay, I really want to wrap up the intellectual stuff now and talk about the course because we're doing all this to invite you to participate with us and engage in doing the program. Now, I appreciate some of you didn't come here so that you could sign up, but it'll be nice if you did. So we want to tell you about the program. And Manoj, maybe you can say something about it.
Yes. I have also just put in the chat the brochures for the next course, next 2 batches. And I also put a document which is capturing some of the sharing from our alumni of what they created out of their own participation. So if you can check your chat in Zoom, you might be able to see these 3 documents. And especially if you're using the computer or the thing, that might be easier for you to even download it. I'm not so sure how it would be for you on your phones if you're accessing phones, but otherwise it should be great. And this has also been there in the brochures have been there in the meeting invite. So if you check the meeting invite, and normally we just look at the calendar, but if you open that email, you will also see these attachments. And you will also, in the Eventbrite link that you receive, reminders that you receive for the event, yesterday's and today's event, you will see this sharing of the participants included in that. They also have given access to the channel, YouTube channel, Leadership from the Emerging Future, where you can see our earlier open events as well as the sharing from our participants. So just 1 second, Leadership from the Emerging Future is the name of the YouTube channel. I have written that name here. You can access that, okay? So the work that we do in the workshops, as I mentioned in the starting, most of you were there, we do work with corporates, we do work with education institutions, we do work with the government. We would like to do work with the government. We haven't done much, but we have done with an but we have had participants from many walks of life, around 30 different industries or dimensions, 9 countries. And a couple of things that we see is, one is the whole game of leadership transforms when you start looking at these principles. The way you look at leadership, the way you look at people, that whole game transforms. So what I would like to do is, we can talk about the course, but also if you have questions, we could answer them as we go in this conversation. So in between, you can interrupt and ask your questions. Before we go deeper, I'll just recreate the logistics for you first. So it's a 2-day workshop followed by a 6-session seminar series. The workshop is like 8 hours, 12 to 8 India time, 12 noon to 8 p.m. India time. And then the seminar series is evening series, 1 session a week, 2.5 hours. And this will be once a week, so 6 weeks. And what we do here is we actually look at, in this workshop, we look at all the competencies that we need to develop to be this leader, right, who brings in a whole new space, whole new future into the organization. So what are the competencies that we need to develop? Ferdi talked about 2 aspects. One is the listening space, and the second is the conversational space. This is the beginning point, right? Beginning of everything starts with listening and conversation. And then we have a lot of tools and activities which help you develop the competency. All of us know that we should be great listeners. Of course, some of us already have the illusion that we are great listeners, but it's a different tool, different thing to actually have daily practice tools where you can practice as you are having conversations with people from sales department, Jankana, or people from some other departments, and all the other idiots that we have to work with in life. When you use these tools, you find, oh my God, I can connect to this person. I know he's not completely not an idiot, but still, there's possibility for me to collaborate. I can actually, we can work together. It might be possible. Oh my God, there's something that I can even appreciate about this person. And then it's like when you start there and then you start connecting at organization level, if you're working in organizations, and you start dismantling those silos where the India-Pakistan borders are there between each department, right? And you actually start seeing, oh my God, if the people in other departments, so human beings, they also have some perspectives and maybe they're not so off. And when you start actually using those tools, I know all of us, we know everything, but there's a difference between knowing everything and actually being in action day in, day out, dismantling dismantling this, downloading and moment by moment, and connecting and creating those new kind of relationships. And then doing that with customers. Oh, you discover, and people have had major breakthroughs in their sales and in their long-term relationship with customers. Vivek recently shared, Vivek and Ferdi were leading an event in an IT company in Hyderabad, and they had a long-term customer, and they didn't know that they were about to lose that customer. But one of the participants actually practiced deep listening when the customer was dealing with an issue, and they saved some multi-million-dollar contract just out of that. And the people who had told us in the workshop, they've been fighting with us in the whole workshop, arguing about every point of view. And they said, no, this is not possible. You tell me that my partner is not an idiot, no, all that stuff. And then come back and share, oh my God, I created a 1 crore order here. And we have started to create a whole new kind of environment in the company. So this is not about knowing something more. This is about actually putting it into action. And all of us can write some books on this, but the point is to take it and make it a day-to-day practice, brush your teeth kind of practice, and apply those principles and create those miraculous results in your families and in your workplace, right? And even beyond. So whatever your commitment is into create the new leadership for yourself, create a new leadership in your departments or companies, or also to increase the impact you have in the society. And we would invite you to explore how this conversation could make a difference for you. And we would like to have questions, interactions based on that, right? So anybody you would like to ask a question, or Ferdi, anything else you want to bring in, you can go ahead.
Well, our invitation is for you to see whether you want to participate with us, in which pick a course and any questions you have to enable you to participate, please ask us.
There's one question on the chat. What if everyone in discussion is not in the same field? How do you bring people to the same field?
That's what you learn in the course, is how do you shift the field? See, most of our organizations, I'm just going to build on what Ferdi said earlier. Most of our organizations are in level 1, which is a talk nice field, where we all pretend that our bosses are smart, right? And then we have different conversations outside the meeting than the kind of conversations we have in the meeting, right? And or there are organizations where there's debate. Everybody fights. Everybody wants to have their point of view heard, right? So everybody's speaking something and fighting, but nobody's really listening. So most common fields are either talk nice or debate. How many of you see that in your organizations? That you have either a talk nice field or a debate field? Can you raise your hand or just respond? And not only in your organization, you can see that everywhere, in other organizations, in families also, in schools, everywhere. Do you see that?
No, regular communication helps in keeping the things, say, whatever, if you are communicating regularly, dialogues will happen. The close to communication, or if you are not communicating regularly, then the dialogues become difficult.
Yeah, but the regular communication also, if you are in a group, if you are in a company, right? The regular communication itself is either in a talk nice mode or is in a debate mode.
Yeah, that you have to select.
No, I'm asking you to look. I'm asking you to look back, right? So are you involved with an organization right now, Mr. Bhatt?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look back at that organization, right? And if you look at how do people interact, right? And it may be not so easy to see it immediately right now as we are talking, but maybe over the next week, you can look, check in the meetings, check in the conversations. What is happening, right? And this is for everybody. This week, now the next coming week, whatever meetings you are in, notice, is everybody confirming? Is everybody ultimately coming to agreeing and saying what they want, what others want them to say? Is it going in some direction of talking nice and accepting and confirmation, or is it going in the direction of everybody getting stuck to their point of view and fighting? Right? And so you want to notice that, because many a times what happens is people speak their point of view, but then they get suppressed back into submission. And of course, we're good at acting, so we pretend that we are aligned, right? But how do you know whether the team is really aligned or they are just pretending to be aligned? You know it in the next week. What kind of actions have happened? What kind of heart and energy they have put in those actions? Many companies complain that meetings happen, everybody's aligned, but nothing gets done after that meeting. They come back to the next meeting and they don't see enough action. Maybe they weren't really aligned, right? Maybe they had to pretend to be aligned. So this is like a disease. This is like a cancer in the organization. It may take some time to discover it. But if you discover it, then you can treat it, right? So my invitation would be to look at the company next week, whole of the next week, from this perspective. Are we talking nice? Are we a talking nice culture, or are we a debate culture? Right. Just notice it. First thing is always awareness. That before you can acknowledge it, before you can change it, or look how to change it, first thing is we have to develop the ability to be aware of it, to notice it. So what we master in the course is to actually being able to sit, notice the field, notice the culture, and then how do you actually alter that culture, meeting by meeting? How do you all actually start altering that culture? Now, of course, it's easier if you're in the senior position, but you also learn to do it even when you're not in a senior position. So this is what would happen in the practices that you would have in the workshop, today workshop, and the 6-session seminar series. Right?
I just want to share from my experience working with a few organizations. One of the first organizations that Ferdi and I had worked with was a very highly successful computer hardware software company. And they were doing very well. It's not that they were doing badly, they were doing very, very well. And in that workshop, one of the participants, when he went back to his to Bombay, where he's the senior regional manager for sales there, he came back after a month and said, I actually, first time in my life, allowed myself to listen to my team members. Otherwise, whenever they would speak up, I would tell them, shut up, I know what I'm doing. You would listen to me, don't tell me what to do.
In a meeting with a Zoom, I'll come back to it. Yes.
So he came back after a month and he said, I listened to my team and we've had a miracle happen. What's happened is we've doubled our sales in 1 month. I did a 360 with a chemical manufacturing company. We and a few of us, we did a 360. And they're highly successful people. They're doing very, very well. And what did we find out in that company? We found out that when it comes to the main things, they cannot speak up. People have lost their voice. Right down to the bottom, people do not have a voice. If they have so many ideas, they have so many things they want to say, but they just can't say anything because they don't think that the senior guys are actually willing to listen. These are normal things that happen in organizations.
Great. Thanks, Vivek. So let's hear from people. Questions, concerns?
Well, questions, really, I prefer if you have questions regarding how to engage and participate in the course, not some more, because we've spoken a lot about the work and theory U, but we can't speak anymore until you come and do the program. Maybe we'll have enough time, 2 whole days and 6 sessions where we can talk to you about it. Here, it's more about, okay, how do I participate? How do I engage in this? How do I, like that, questions about that. Have you told them how much? Yes.
Hi, Ferdi. My name is Beena.
Hi, Beena.
I'm going to ask you a very basic question, and my apologies for that. I just want to know what could be some of the capabilities that I could have, because I'm pretty kind of sure that I would want to take part in this program, and that's the reason I'm asking you this question. I want to know what could be some of the capabilities that I would build after attending your program.
Well, that would depend on where your gaps are, Beena. So if you look for yourself, I can tell you the capabilities that you will definitely expand on, okay? I don't know whether you already have some. One of it is your ability to really listen to people. Like, listen at level 2, level 3, level 4, you will expand that. And that itself will be remarkable because it will transform your whole life. You'll transform the world that you live in, the world that you see. The second is you will develop an influence and expand your leadership ability, because leadership is the ability to be able to move a conversation from one field to another. So if there is a field in your meetings, which is all about talking nice, or there's a field in your meeting, which is all about debates, you will actually be able to move that field from debate or talking nice to dialogue. And then if you're really lucky, to be able to get co-creative and collaborative and to move it to co-creation and collaboration. So that's the other one. And the last one is there are tools we will give you in the course. And one of the tools is called stakeholder interview, where you will actually interview.
Stakeholder interviews, yeah.
Yeah, stakeholder interviews. You will interview your clients, you will interview your boss, you will, whoever you want to, you don't have to, but you will interview your subordinates, you'll interview other people. So you begin to understand what do they expect from you and how are they going to judge you have fulfilled their expectation. Rather than you just assuming that you know what they expect from you, you're asking them. And many times people are surprised that people don't expect from you what you thought they would expect from you. They expect something much simpler and much easier for you to fulfill.
Or at least different.
Yeah. So does that give you a sense, Beena?
Yes, Freddie. Excellent. Yeah. This is,
Very good.
And Beena, if I can add, you have a question, Beena?
Yes.
Go ahead. Otherwise, I'd like to add something.
In fact, I had a question for you, Manoj, but then you
Yeah.
go on, please.
Okay, I just, and two more things that I see. One is we have a powerful tool which allows us to transform our relationship with problems, challenges, and obstacles. And it creates a whole new access to not just tap the intelligence of our head, but tap the collective intelligence of the head, heart, and hand. So it alters the paradigm in which we see and sense and experience problems and challenges. So that's one thing. It is miraculous. It's one of the most powerful tools in the game. And the final thing that I would say in this course, this is the level 1 course, right? But the final and very critical thing is we get connected to the real source of our power, which is the real self. So there are two kinds of self. One is the small self, which is worried about everything that we are worried about, right? And then there is a real self, the higher self, which is more about why are we here on the planet? What's our real purpose? What are we really up to here? So when we get connected to that, which is what is a access in this course, is the moment you get connected to that, in a way, a new life begins and a new source of power begins for you. So that's what I would like to say, Beena, and then I would also like to hear your question.
Thanks, Manoj. I think this quite aligns with aligns with what I'm planning to do in the next probably many years to come. One is I have to work with people who have been heavily affected by this pandemic. They're a set of entrepreneurs. So I think this would help me in listening to them better, questioning them better, understanding, connecting with them better, co-creating with them. So thank you for that. I think this has come at the right time for me.
Yes.
And the question that I want, had for you is more related to the program in terms of when does it happen, how does it happen, how much is it, the commercials, etc.
Yeah, so we have two batches open. The next batch is 24th and 25th July, and the one after that will be our 20th cohort, and the 21st cohort is on 7th and 8th of August. The July cohort, 24th, 25th July, is going to be a corporate batch, so people who are connected with organizations, and even if they're entrepreneurs, but they want to have a focus on the organizational aspects of it. that would be the batch for them. And the 7th of July is an open batch where people would be there from all walks of life. All right. And normally the tuition for these courses is 500 pounds, which is like 50,000 rupees plus tax. But in the COVID situation, we have subsidized it. So the corporate batch, July batch is subsidized to, and it's now costing 350 pounds. This is 35,000 plus tax. And the general batch, the open batch, is further subsidized and it's now costing 250 pounds. That is 25,000 rupees plus tax. The timings are 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. India time on both the days. And then there will be 6-session seminar series, as I mentioned earlier, which will be once a week in the evening times for 2.5 hours. Okay, so that's the logistics and the brochures that I have sent you here and in the emails. On the last page on the brochure, there is a registration link, and you can pay by credit card, debit card, or any other ways. You also have a choice to pay in Indian rupees, and you also have a choice to pay in pounds. Okay, so whichever way it works for you, you can explore that. And if you need any further support, you can always get in touch with me or Vivek or SK, any one of us, right? And yeah, and great. So I'll
Also, it all happens on Zoom, okay?
Yeah, it all happens
You
on
never
Zoom.
did mention it's a Zoom program.
Everything is on Zoom, yeah.
Okay, thanks so much. I think a couple of dates got broken up. So would you be able to send me a mail? Is that
Already there in your mail.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's 24th, 25th July.
Yes, and the
It's
second
a Saturday, 7th and 8th of August.
Okay.
They're Saturday,
They're all
Sunday, they're on
yeah,
weekends.
weekends.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything you'd like to ask? We got around 10 minutes.
What is the protocol, Manoj, on sharing recordings of these sessions? I mean, if somebody is missed out on a seminar or something?
We don't share the recordings at all with anybody. Now, coaches available where you can get in touch with them to help you with any session that you miss, and there will be teams, kind of buddies that you can also take support of. But because of privacy issues and many other issues, we do not share recordings of those seminars anymore. We only share recordings of these open events, right? But we don't share recordings of our seminars and workshops.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything that we can help you with? And you can also look at doing this kind of workshops in-house. We do a lot of work in-house. And if you are somebody who has the authority to do that, or you have access to the people who have the authority to do that, you can take it to the organizations. And if not, then you can have some of the key people participate in the open workshops, and then you can build the conversation to take it in the organizations, which is what has happened with many of the organizations. Some the MD or the CEO or some senior people would come, attend some open workshops like this, and then they say, oh, this is miraculous, right? And they want to take it to the organizations. Right? So we are doing, for example, we are doing a two-year contract we are working on to transform the whole organization. It's a small 100-people organization, and we have taken them through the whole journey of theory U, the 5 levels, and then we were doing projects with them, and we're actually transforming the whole culture inside out. And then build on the foundation of that, we are helping them reinvent their strategy, their sales, their innovation, their HR practices, so everything. So it's like when we started the work, they were like, oh, everything is fine, everything is fine. Now, 1 year down the line, it's almost like the color of every brick in the building has changed. Yes, questions? yeah, the question regarding July and August workshop, the content is similar and not same. It's just the application will be different. The July, the focus will be on the corporate applications of the content on the principles and technology. And the August one will be like open. So it's not only corporate, it will be all dimensions, right? But basic principles will remain same. Right? It's just the application and the context being different. Melba, this is for you, right? And for anybody else who had a question on that. So, yeah, and you can choose whichever is more appropriate for you. If you are from the corporate background, organizational background, you want to focus only on that, you can come to the July one. If you want to look at generic, applying it overall, you can look at the August one, whichever works for you. All right. Melba, great. We would like to see you in the August one. Thank you. We have had a couple of friends from Australia participate. It will be good. I know it will be a little bit difficult for you in terms of the time. I think 8 p.m. will be a little late for you, but yes, we have had friends from US participate in this, where they had to kind of stay the whole night, stay awake the whole night for them, but they have managed it inside of their commitment. And yeah, so we deeply appreciate people from other time zones also participating. Thank you very much for doing that. Okay, anybody else? Any other questions? We got around 5 minutes and then we can wrap up. And SK, can you share your phone numbers if you and the thing if you want to receive calls? And Vivek, I hope you already shared. I have also shared my numbers. I'll write down again. And you can connect with us on the WhatsApp and you can take it forward.
So just to
you can
wrap up.
Yes.
You know, thank you so much for your engagement and participation. Really makes a difference when people speak, not just chat. Chat is all right, but when you actually do speak and engage, it makes a huge difference. And I appreciate your generosity in listening and engaging. Thank you so much. And somebody, Luna, I think, asked me to connect on what's on to you on LinkedIn, but I don't know whether you sent me an request on email, because if you have, I saw something flash past my screen. I will respond. Okay.
Suleika,
pleasure.
Yeah, if you want to connect with us on LinkedIn or Facebook, you can do that. And we also have a page on Facebook, Global Transformation Champions, which is more for all the participants who go through our course. We consider them as transformation champions. So that's why this page is called Global Transformation Champions. So you're most welcome to join in that. By the way, we also do work in other languages. Like for example, we have done some workshops in Hindi and mix English and Hindi, because we want this technology to be available to everybody, right? And SK Rao has also done some workshops in South Indian languages, Kannada. But, yeah, but he also leads in some 9 languages. So, and then we have been doing workshop in Thailand with Thai translators. So it's not a barrier. We can take it everywhere. Great.
Okay,
So,
I think we should wrap up. Manoj, yeah.
Yes. Over to you, Ferdi.
Thank you all very, very much, and hope to see you around the campus sometime. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Melba.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all.
Everyone.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Ferdi. Thank you, Manoj. Best
Bye,
wishes.
Jagdish.
Welcome, Jagdish.